Greetings and salutations, this is Imperator Vespasian and his trusty sidekick.
Hello.
We're having a look today at the cannon that we've built for the Alamo. This is a continuation of our Alamo project for the people not keeping up with current events. As you know, we did purchase a box of Confederate gunners, cannon. You get 3 cannon in the box, I believe. Do you? Yeah. And they're the gunners that we're using for the actual cannon crew. And they turn out quite well. These are the gunners. I've given these guys a sort of pork pie hat type of thing, a sort of floppy hat, and that is because those particular gunners are actually trained gunners who are part of the New Orleans Greys, who were part of the defenders of the Alamo. And over here we have some normal infantry, some normal gunners who are just basic normal Alamo defenders, just local Texans, and they're in sort of civilian garb manning the cannon. Now all the cannon are made from scratch more or less. I've used the wheels from the Confederate box and I've made the actual gun carriage and just stuck the cannon on top, which I thought was the best way of doing it, because the Alamo use split trail guns, and in the Confederate box you get single trail guns. The trail is the bit that comes off just here. So the cannon are American Civil War cannon, and the American Civil War cannon were single trail, so I had to do a bit of modification on them to make them into the correct period cannon. Over here we have a fortress gun. There were a number of fortress guns at the Alamo. These guys, that's just made out of layers of balsa wood, nothing too interesting with that. And here we have the cannon for the New Orleans Greys, just here. One of the cannon, the 18-pounder, was actually a New Orleans gun, which for some reason was taken by ship, dragged 200 miles across land and left at the Alamo because the crew didn't carry any ammunition for it.
Wow.
So it didn't have any cannonballs, so they couldn't fire. Instead they used it to fire shrapnel, which is good, not hugely useful when you're defending high walls against infantry, which is what they were used for. So although very good for firing into the interior of the Alamo, which is what happened. The Mexicans captured some of the guns and fired them into the actual Alamo, which was unpleasant. For those vaguely interested, we made some cards for these guys. We're just using a sort of version of bolt action with a little bit of Judge Dredd rules thrown in, because we're going to be playing it. We're going to be playing 2 versions of the game. One version will be a big pitch battle, which you can't really use skirmish rules for. So we'll be using black powder for that.
Yeah.
But we'll for sort of small scale battles, just fighting on one wall or whatever, we're going to be using type of bolt action rule system. Yeah, you following me?
Yep.
Well, you should know already.
Well, yeah, that's why I was following already.
Yeah, so I've made some ones for that. And for those of you who watched the other videos that we did, that's a set of cards for Crockett, Bowie and Travis. They're like character cards. We would simply be using them as generals for black powder.
That music?
Yeah, but for this we made them into special characters. So basically Davy Crockett is basically Judge Dredd. Jim Bowie is a senior judge, and William Travis is a judge.
Yeah,
a high-ranking judge, spec ops guy. So anyway, that's vaguely what we're running on at the moment. So it is a sort of cross between Judge Dredd and bolt action we're using for the actual skirmish game, and a black powder for the big game. But that's all besides the point. So these are the cannon that we've got. So out of the box there's 12 cannon. I can't use the Napoleons because they weren't around at the time. So I've only used the main guns, the normal guns, which is 6 8-pounders, I think a 9-pounder. So we've got brass guns and iron guns at that side. So I think it was a good call, but trying to get hold of cannon for the era of the Alamo isn't exactly easy.
No, because no one really does it.
Yeah. They do it in 54mm and stuff like that, but yeah, so basically we've got ourselves 9 cannon to defend the Alamo with, which, calculating it out, would more or less work out on figure scale. More or less. Biggest problem the defenders had was that nearly half their number were gunners.
Oh.
So they didn't actually use all the cannon they had in the Alamo. In fact, some of them were just dumped in the middle of the yard. They never actually used them. And they couldn't use a 16-pounder because they didn't have any balls for it. They also had a mortar as well, which was useless.
Mortars aren't useless.
They are, for the Alamo, it was pretty useless because it can only fire in one direction.
Yeah, better than not firing at all.
Yeah, but they put it facing the main gates, and the main gates weren't attacked. So, and
You can move a mortar like that.
yeah, the mortar's also designed to fire stone balls.
Yeah.
It's for sinking ships, not. It was a naval mortar, not a.
You can still kill someone.
Mortar. Oh yeah, you could, but is it worth taking those men who would service it, which would be about 8 men, to service the mortar?
Yeah.
And wouldn't it be better giving them muskets and putting them on the wall to shoot Mexicans?
No.
No?
No.
So you're willing to take another 8 men off the wall?
That's not how they're doing anything anyway. They're too busy dying.
Okay.
They were. They're getting slaughtered on the wall.
Well, they were defending the wall. The Mexicans were getting slaughtered too.
Not as much as the Texans. No Texans made it out.
Yeah, and 600 Mexicans died.
And?
Oh, right, okay, fine. So, yeah, that's the state of play so far. We have some guns done. An interesting little thing. The other half the wheels are actually from carriages, and I turned some of the carriages into ammunition boxes. Not really use them in the game, but they look good. Just thought I'd mention that because it was quite interesting. And I think that's everything. Anything to add? Questions, anyone?
One question.
Go on.
How many cannons did the Alamo have in use?
About 14.
Then rather than lose that 14 cannons.
The Alamo is huge, and you can only put cannons in certain places. Some of the cannons were these things, which aren't exactly prone to be moved around very well, and they're quite hard to load and manoeuvre. There were the Goliad guns. There were 2 Goliad guns, which were tiny little, I think, 4-pounders. They weren't even used. They were at the Alamo, but they weren't used. They were just dumped in the middle. They were never actually. There were no point to them. They couldn't use a 16-pounder because that fired stone cannonballs. There were a couple of other guns that they had no carriages to put them on. So yeah, and also powder is a problem. They did originally, when the bombardment first started, they were firing back at the Mexicans, and there was an exchange of fire, and they ran out of balls, so they had to use the Mexican balls. So the Mexicans were firing cannonballs in, and the Texans were picking the cannonballs up and firing them back out again.
Yep.
Problem was with that is they began to run low on powder. Sorry, my tongue is killing. I find it very hard to talk. Yeah, so they ran out of powder. So they were running out of. A cannonball takes a huge amount of powder to fire.
Yeah, I know that.
And they were running low on powder, so they decided in the end to hold their powder in reserve and not fire back.
I want to fire back anyway.
Why?
They bring balls in, we save them balls. As soon as they arrange their, as soon as they've stopped, then we have a large amount of balls which is fired straight into the Mexican infantry.
Yeah, firing cannonballs at infantry is only vaguely useful.
You're not gaining anything, you're not losing anything.
No, it does work when your enemy are in column, and the Mexicans were in column. However, they attacked at night, so they never actually got to use that. So instead, they used grape shot. But they didn't have. Yeah, but they didn't have any grape shot. Grape shot is musket balls in bags full of musket balls.
Yeah, I know.
Or
I go their way.
Or you get two cannonballs, and you fasten wire between them. Not wire, chains between them. And you fire them and they spin and kill people. Yeah, they're pretty lethal. Mainly used against cavalry though, not really an anti-infantry weapon, because they tend to fly too high. So they're really useful for cavalry because they would really injure cavalry. Then you've got cannonballs which sort of split in half, again with chains, and they act more or less the same, but they're a lot smaller. They're for infantry, but unfortunately they didn't really have any. They didn't have much in the way of this sort of stuff, so they were using knives, forks, horseshoes, nails, which you think would be really useful, but it's not actually as effective because they're much bigger things that are hitting people. Therefore, when you're hitting a mass of infantry, you're only actually hitting the first 2 or 3 men, and the rest of the men are safe from it. Whereas with normal grape shot, the bullets will actually go straight through half a dozen guys before they stop. So it's a lot. Grape shot is a lot more deadly when you use balls.
Interesting.
You still kill hundreds of people firing them, but it's not as effective. It also has a lot less range. So you've got to wait for the enemy to be really close up.
That's why grape shot is used as last resort.
Yeah, not much use on the top of a wall.
You can put the cannons right to the back. As soon as the Mexicans start going down, you fire grape shot on them and kill them all, and then charge forward.
Well, actually, that was part of their defence plan. They did actually have some cannons inside the Alamo for firing at the Alamo walls.
I guess
that's a breach.
at that time, that side of the wall were taken.
No, those. I'll show you when the model's done. You'll see it. But the Mexicans didn't attack on that side anyway. But well, they did, but not as heavily as elsewhere. But the crew for the guns had left the guns to man the walls. So there was no one to actually man the guns. So the two guns that were set up to the two guns on a they were sort of on a raised platform in the middle of the Alamo, or sort of one side, and they were supposed to be used to fire anywhere where the enemy got on the roof, got over the wall, but they couldn't fire them because the crews had deserted the guns and gone to man the walls. A second problem was the guys on the west wall, who also had some pivot guns. They couldn't use them because they jumped off the wall and ran off.
Huh.
They did a run for it. Between 30 and 50 of them just jumped over the wall and made a run for it. So they weren't able to lend fire to the Mexican troops inside.
Wow.
Oh, give fire. Sorry, not lend fire, give fire.
Well, that's all questions I got.
Yeah, I've actually got a list somewhere of every single cannon that was at the Alamo that we know of, that we have written evidence for, including some of the guns that we still have. We actually they're in museums and stuff, so there are a few guns still around. And I will probably have to dig that out for you when we start doing games, and we'll do a video on it or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's it. That's the end of this. Any more questions, by the way? Sorry.
No, I already said that.
You had just questions, right? So that's it. I hope you like the guns we've done so far. As I said, they're all scratch built, apart from the actual barrels and wheels. Yeah, that's about it. Some of the cannon crew are trained gunners in uniform, and some are sort of civilian gunners in uniform. You can work that out yourself. And that's it. Over to you for...
So if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and comment down below what you think of the Alamo artillery. That's everything from me.
And everything from him. Goodbye.
See ya.